This is CHSTV News.
Cathedral. I'm Romeo with your morning announcements for Friday, April the 9th. Let's start off the show with a message from Mr. Daly.
Good Friday morning, Cathedral. It's Mr. Daly, principal, on the last day before our delayed March break, which is now the April break. So just to start with the obvious thing, that we've obviously had a lot of cases that have gone out, and I've been spending a lot of my time as a principal sending out letters to staff and students, informing everyone of positive cases. So as you know, I have a couple of my favorite prayers, and one of them is the serenity prayer, where we say, God, grant me the serenity, the peace of mind, to accept the things I cannot change, and this is something I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can. So we have to do what we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So I understand everyone's concern. That's all I want to say about that. I take direction. I got a lot of calls and texts from staff, and I understand, as well as students and parents. And I just, I'm the principal of the school, and I have a certain amount of authority that I can exercise, but I don't have all the authority. So I take direction from public health and the board, and that's that. So all we can do is the best we can here at school, and I think the break's coming at a good time, at least for Cathedral. So I just want to remind everyone that you can do the best you can with what we all know we've been doing around our society since last March, which is to wear our masks in an appropriate manner, make sure you're sanitizing, make sure you don't leave the house if you're not feeling well, and maintain your social distancing. And of course, all staff should be wearing their PPE at all times, and we'll make it through the day and head into the April break. And I know for a lot of students, the April break isn't something everyone looks forward to. Some people do and some people don't. So our thoughts and prayers will be with you. And we're hoping that with all the vaccinations coming around, and that I know we're obviously in an emergency around here and in Hamilton and in Ontario. I was reading about Saskatchewan. There's a lot of bad stuff happening, but hopefully, with God's grace and the hard work of everybody, if we can keep ourselves spaced and safe, and do what we're being directed to do by our government officials and public health officials, and hopefully soon this will be behind us. Now, I did want to highlight a letter that came from the chairperson of the board and Mr. Hansen. So, and it was emailed directly from the board to families and staff. So I just want to read a little bit of it to make sure everyone understands. So, as you are aware, a state of emergency has been declared, I moved my phone around, was declared in response to the worsening trend of the key health indicators across the province. And these trends show a rapid increase in COVID-19 transmission and increasing risks from the variants. So while the stay-at-home order has enforced new measures for non-essential retail operations, the Ministry of Education has indicated schools will remain open for in-person learning during this shutdown. Now, the spring break will happen next week, as I'm sure everyone knows, but I'll read this paragraph. So despite that direction, Hamilton public health officials are advising school boards to prepare for a possible move to online learning after spring break. So it's not confirmed, it's possible. It's something we'll have to watch the news and media reports for, and social media will, I'm sure, broadcast it. So we have to keep an eye on that next week. So in preparation for the possibility, we strongly encourage students and staff to take home any personal belongings or learning resources and equipment that they will need to move to a fully remote online learning beginning on April 19th. So Monday, April 19th will be our first day back if they continue to keep the schools open. In the case that they move to online learning again, they're advising that you take everything home. So I just want to reinforce that for staff and students. So don't leave anything at school today that you think you might need if we go to a virtual full-time online learning model. And if we don't, you'll be able to bring all that stuff back. So let's, and then again, there's a whole issue of reminding everyone of the safety measures, which I've discussed and we're all very, very familiar with. Okay, so that's that. So let's move on to two really good news items. One is we had one of our students at the BASF Science Fair. It's the Bay Area Science Fair. I think that's what BASF stands for. And her name is Becca Barbera. And I was informed last night by Mr. Lepore that Becca won a prestigious award at the Bay Area Science Fair. Now, Mr. Lepore is Cathedral's, and will always be, Cathedral's #1 historian for things Cathedral. And it's his opinion, he says, "You are one of a very select group of Cathedral students who have ever qualified for the International Science and Engineering Fair, and you have made your family and Cathedral very proud. We're pretty sure she's the only female student in the history of the school to go this far with the science fair." So congratulations on your awesome accomplishment, Becca. They actually called me and Mr. Lepore a couple days ago before Becca found out, because they were so impressed with what she had done. So on top of being a biology teacher extraordinaire and historian, Mr. Lepore was given, I think he encouraged Becca to enter that fair, and good for you, Becca. I don't know what her project was about. I would like to know, and but she makes us all proud, and it's a great achievement, and just another example of the high academic standards we have here at Cathedral. And lastly, and I'm sure most of you know, I should mention it though, we have a major Wall of Distinction project, and we've been mentioning this for several years now. It's at least 3 years we've been working on it. The person who's done the most work is certainly, by far and away, Mr. Lepore, and for the decades to come, we will all owe him a debt of gratitude for all the work that went into this wall. So this collage, which went up on Tuesday, just to explain to students, now I strongly encourage you to pause and take a look when you have an opportunity at what's on that wall. So just to explain quickly, there's pictures of, I think, about 300 former Cathedral graduates of various sorts, and it's in chronological order from the beginning of the school's history in 1912 all the way up until very recent history, like a number of years ago. So if you start on the far left side of that collage and work your way to the right, for the most part, the pictures are in chronological order. Two of my favorites are the first one. There is the very first graduate in the history of Cathedral High School. Can you imagine? Is a gentleman by the name of Neville Anderson. He has passed away. He became a Monsignor. How appropriate that the first graduate of Cathedral entered the religious life. And my other favorite in the early part is right there in that picture that Mr. Tribuco just put up. There is a woman in the middle. I think, I've forgotten her name now. She's in that plane there, and she is the first female licensed pilot in the history of Canada. Eileen Volek, yes. And she, as far as historian Mr. Lepore knows, is, well, we know for sure she was the first female licensed pilot in the history of Canada. She ended up doing a lot of stunt flying, actually, in the United States. There's an airport named after her, a small regional airport down in the southern United States named after her. And she has had a stamp issued in her honor. And as far as Mr. Lepore is aware, she's the only Cathedral graduate in our history to actually have a Canada stamp issued in her honor. And that's something, people like Wayne Gretzky and, Terry Fox and people like that have stamps in their honor. But to think that happened to an early Cathedral grad. And as you go across, you'll see scholars, lawyers, politicians, bishops, educators, athletes, Pulitzer Prize winners. There's so many. So this is the first part, now probably the biggest and took the most work, of a whole legacy project we're going to put in that wing. We have about 110 really high achieving, amazing graduates who are going to get plaques of honor on that plain white wall. And then we're going to work on a war memorial to even in a more proper way recognize all the war all of our war heroes who are graduates of Cathedral High School. So I salute Mr. Lepore. We will never be able to thank him for the work that he did on this. And I hope the students will read that board and staff and appreciate the great history of this school. And one of the things we want to do is inspire students. I hope some of you will look at that wall and say, I'm going up on this when they expand it someday. And you will. So I'm going to end on that happy, positive note. I wish all of you a good day. Please stay safe and follow all your safety protocols. And if you can, I hope you enjoy the break, and we'll have to watch the news to find out what our education status will be when we get back. Sorry for the very long announcement, and I'll turn it back over to our anchor.
Thanks, sir. This is a reminder that Student Council is hosting a student business raffle. You have the chance to win a free set of custom Air Force Ones, a free custom t-shirt, or a dual prize of a custom nail set and lip gloss set. One ticket is only $2 and you can buy up to 20 tickets for $20. Tickets can be purchased via School Cash online until April the 19th. This is a reminder to graduates that today is the deadline for registering to participate in graduation activities. As of now, about half the potential graduates have indicated an interest in being included in the ceremony. Please register if you plan to participate. Today is also the deadline for the graduation logo contest. Visit the CHSTV News Instagram page for the submission link. And speaking of grads, it's now time to submit your yearbook graduation quote. You can find the yearbook quote Google form link on the CHSTV News Instagram bio, and the link was sent to your school emails on Monday. You have until April the 30th to submit your school appropriate graduation quote. And those are all of your announcements for today, Cathedral. Have a great spring break, Gales, and thanks for watching.